Hello everyone, and now welcome to Game 5 here on, you know what, I don't know the name of this map. I have cast a game on it a couple of times. I'm sure someone out there can research the name for me, but once again, I am in a little bit of a time crunch. Do have to pick up my daughter in a little bit, so yes, please look to the description in order to figure out what the name of the map is, but I do know a little bit of details on the map. Tamori, I know you can't really hear me, but it is, yes, 2-2 in this best of 5 series. All right, now this base only has, or this map only has 2 starting locations, but there are plenty of maps, or plenty expansions, not maps. Here, one key thing to note: there is this semi-forward expansion that has actually 3 Vespene geysers, one of them being of the rich variety. Now, because of that, it does take a little bit more to actually harvest from this particular geyser. It takes 4 probes, and now basically, yes, they have been talking and recapping every single game, and I am very happy to see that the games have been very different from each other. A lot of the times when you cast a mirror match, you see the same strategy utilized over and over and over again. This time we've seen base trades, proxies, blink stalkers, and proxy void rays. Just very different strategies. And apparently Mori is now saying, you know what, we should see some DTs as well. I think that would be one of the strategies that we haven't seen. Perhaps mass or motherships on both sides recalling their armies back whenever they get into too much trouble. All right. Probe now warping in a pylon off in a curious location here, but perhaps actually I have no idea why you would actually warp in that pylon here at all. Perhaps revealing in a little bit of sight. Another pylon here as well, but then again, stalkers from the far side would be able to simply shoot across this small chasm here and destroy that pylon. We are seeing very similar builds. It looks like Real is going into a faster second gas, but he is a little bit behind in terms of supply, finally catching up. The Zealot of Welmu will be out just slightly faster, but he's not going to really be able to see very much or do much of anything. Why even walk down this way? I'm not quite sure. Changing the rally point, yeah, just going to go ahead and clear out and check out that there are no just proxy gateways inside his base, as the Zealot's now going to sit on that front door. Probe is already on the inside. Welmu going to be able to get a lot of scouting information here, as the Stalker is not yet ready, and that Zealot and this Probe is going to be able to sneak out and get back home. Meanwhile, Real, with one probe, gonna try and perhaps make his way inside the base. Is he gonna be able to do so, or will the stalkers be able to handle it a little bit too easily? Here we go, the probe now trying to turn around. No, doesn't even bother turning around, as the final shot from the stalker gets a first blow once more. Welmu still does have one probe over here. The stalker is gonna finish it off very easily, down to dead already, as the stalker now taking a look, making sure that there are no proxy pylons. Gateways, robotics facilities warping in, same thing coming in from type Real as well. 2 gateways and a robotics facility. Warp gate tech about to be completed. We are going into an early observer. Meanwhile, Welmu still needs a little bit more time on his robotics facility, instead going for some extra sentries, and utilizing those sentries perhaps just for force fields and making sure nothing can come up that ramp. There is one stalker now looking to come up here. If the force field from Welmu does go down, he could trade it for that stalker very early on, and that would definitely help. Real currently going into some immortals, perhaps wanting to bust down that front door very quickly. Meanwhile, Welmu is getting into immortals of his own. Immortals with range of 6, very effective now in the Protoss versus Protoss mirror match, as stalkers simply do not just own them. Observers still passing each other in the middle of the night. Stalker from Real coming around that back corner, and we'll see where he's going to be parking himself at. So far, Welmu adding in 2 additional gateways for a total of 4. Meanwhile, Type Real is adding in a robotics bay for Colossi. So the Colossi should be able to slice and dice many of these gateway units, and as long as he's able to keep a good distance between those gateway units, he should not have any problems. Real also establishing up his own natural expansion, and this is an interesting play to actually establish the natural expansion. We do see that there is also the Gravitic Drive now coming in from Real, so Real going for the Gravitic Drive, and that is going to be increased movement speed on those Warp Prisms, so we could just have straight up Warp Prism play. Now back down over here, we do have one observer here. The Immortals are still being added. Do we have a Warp Prism already on the field? Yes, we do. 1 Stalker, 1 Sentry, 1 Immortal with 1 Warp Prism. This is going to be a very nice drop here in just a second, and perhaps that will be enough damage to actually slow down Welmu. Welmu now getting extended thermal lance range, are gonna have his first Colossus up in just a moment, but is it gonna matter as the Immortals have shown up? Beautiful force fields trapping a lot of those probes there, and now all he really needs to do is just try and engage. The force fields do come down. The Warp Prism now gonna fly away. There is plenty of shields on that Warp Prism, as the Warp Prism is at 18 shield points. The Warp Prism now looking to come back in once more, perhaps do a little bit more disruption. And there you have it, Stalker, Immortal, and Sentry once again dropping back in. The Immortal going to get off some easy kills again. The Sentry now needs to get picked up and does not get picked up. Gets destroyed. Hold on one moment. Alright. Through the power of technology, you guys don't even know I was really gone. Observer now keeping track of the front door. We may see the Warp Prism once again try to come back in, but there is an Immortal and now a Colossus there by Welmu. Welmu not going to get tricked anymore. And both sides now up and running on 2 bases. So this is going to be more of a macro style game, as the armies are relatively even in size, and both of the armies are playing a little bit more defensively, so that could be a problem. 40 probes though compared to 28, as Welmu did lose a lot of harvesters there, a 9 harvester difference, as the Warp Prism with that movement speed advantage simply so fast and able to juke out so many units. We may see, oh, what is that Warp Prism doing? The Warp Prism taking a little bit of damage. Stalkers do not have Blink though, as a Void Ray now being trained up by Type Real. So Type Real going into Void Rays with Robotics Bay tech. All we now need to see is a Twilight Council, and he would have gone all 3 routes in the Protoss tier 3 army. A second Stargate now being placed down as well. This is very strange. A second Stargate being added, and we may be going into mass Void Ray, as the Immortals and the Stalkers, oh, the Stalker unable to get picked back up, and the Immortals able to make their way over. You can see that the combination of units of Welmu right now is very heavy Colossi Immortal with a very few number of Stalkers. So the Void Ray play does make sense, but how effective is it going to be? Also, when you are going to be going into this many Stargates, might as well get up the Cybernetics Core and get level 1 weapons upgrade for all of those air units. We'll see if Type Real actually realizes that he does have 2 Stargates. Yes, he does. He does have them hotkeyed. So, I've got to believe that was on purpose. So double Void Rays, no, not double Void Rays, Void Rays and Phoenixes are ready to go. Is it Phoenixes or Phoenixi? Alright, anyways, coming around the the Warp Prism now taking a little bit of damage, down to 48 hit points, 34. The Immortal most likely will simply be dropped off in just a moment. And we are still seeing a very, very heavy Colossus introduction to the army. Double Robotics Bay or double Robotics Facility against double Stargate, and normally double Stargate is the one that wins out in that battle. You're able to pick up the units that are trying to flee and then shoot them down with the Void Rays. Also, Immortals and Colossi cannot attack air, and the key question will be how many warp gates can Welmu warp in, and depending on how many warp gates he has, will he be able to get up a large enough Stalkers count to deal with the Air Force of Real. Real currently sitting on 4 Phoenixes and 2 Void Rays, getting up Void Ray number 4 and 5 now, as we are also seeing some pylons being warped in a very forward position. 6 warp gates, 2 star gates versus what is it, 5 or 6? 5 warp gates and 2 robotics facilities. Once again, the Immortals still playing a really good game of pressure, shooting at units and then being picked up only to be dropped back off. How many kills does that Immortal have? I'm not quite sure. I'll have to keep track of it later for you. Alright, you can see that there is a Nexus coming in from Welmu, and Real, who wants to warp in a Nexus here, not going to be able to, as there is already a pylon. So I believe this one probe is just going to shoo away this pylon, and now we're going to see some Stalkers, Zealots, and Immortals attempt to take this down. Real also warping in a pylon as well, hoping to really defend this 3rd base location. Meanwhile, you can also see that Welmu already getting up his 3rd base. So this is going to be 3 bases versus 3 bases, but both players playing a very different game. Double Void Ray production versus Colossi production. Are we going to perhaps see level 2 armor upgrades, or level 2 weapons upgrade or level 1 armor upgrades for the air as well? Void Rays don't have any armor. One of the units that actually have 0 base armor. Zealots now warping in. They are going to be able to engage. The Zealots do have a superior number here, as the Zealots do get ahead and take down some more of the Zealots. One more Zealot will get taken down here. So trading 4 Zealots for 3, as this pylon will get destroyed. Alright, the observers are talking about how much fun this game will be. Observers, the one particular group of Phoenixes will come in, fly around, and get in some easy kills on some Phoenixes. And this is not the normal timing at all for Phoenix harassment. Down goes a probe. Are we going to see some more probes? Yes, more probes are getting destroyed. And how many probes are going to get killed? Already up to 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 28 already done, and they are backing away once more. So some very interesting Phoenix play here, but that was used to take down workers as opposed to take down any typical units. Harvester count now 63 to 39 with 29 worker kills. Phoenix is coming around, able to get out some shots, and on those Colossi, that is a lot of Colossi. Wow, 8 Colossi. And what are these? What are those Colossi going to do against this entire air army? How many Void Rays does it take? I don't know, but we're certainly going to see how many Void Rays does it take to take down a Nexus. Stalkers are upgraded 1-0. We're going into 1-1 upgrades for the Protoss Grand Army, 2-0 for Welmus, and the Stalkers with Blink are really gonna be able to chase after those Phoenixes in just a moment. Templar Archives also coming into play, as we see a wide variety of tech paths. Phoenixes look to come back in, but there are a good number of Stalkers. The Stalkers, able to finish off one, perhaps the second one, no, unable to do that. Archons are in position. You do see some Immortals as well. The Archons are there to break open those force fields and making sure that the force fields do not corral all of the units together and then allow the Colossi to slice and dice. Colossi, number 9 already on the field. Number 10 now being trained with Archons being merged. One forward pylon here in a curious position. We'll see what Welmu or what Real is going to be able to do. I believe he can warp down on the low ground here, as we now see a 4th base being taken. Real moving out with a large number of Zealots, Stalkers, Immortals, and 1 Sentry, looking to do a bit of pressure. Going to be able to take down this one forward pylon, and now looking to back away, as we are going to be seeing some Phoenixes once again come back in to take down more. We are now going into double carriers with 2 more Stargates being added. So this almost feels like I am casting a beta game where players don't have definitive builds. Alright, Mothership should be added as well. And as we do have the fleet beacon, the Mothership is not currently being warped in anywhere. We can see 2 more assemblers going to be added here. It's going to be a 4-base Protoss versus 3 in just a moment. Army sizes do favor Welmu, but Real, really with the economic advantage and with these carriers on the field, should be able to deal a lot of damage, unless those Stalkers are able to get up right underneath and blink only. You can see this Protoss death ball of 10 Colossi now making its way out across the field. That one pylon will get destroyed. Who will come out on top? Real does spot this one proxy pylon is going to simply destroy it here. Down it goes, and now needs a retreat once more as the Phoenixes are getting some easy shots onto those Colossi. We're going to see what's going to be happening here. The Phoenixes could be going after the Colossi. Not quite sure why they're not engaging, and we could see in a battle here in just a moment. Yes, I am busy. I am sorry. I thought I had set that away. Alright, so coming back over here, we're going to see more of an attack coming in. More Zealots getting destroyed. Archon's now trying to get in position, but here come the Void Rays. The Void Rays are going to come back in for a counterattack, and the Void Rays can attack while moving. That is going to be the key point here, but the Colossi are going to deal a lot of damage. Phoenix is now coming over as well, trying to get off some shots. Archon's now getting taken down, as the Colossi are going to be in a bit of trouble. The Colossi move relatively slowly, and those Void Rays are able to attack while moving. Carriers now coming in. Void Rays now underneath as well. Who's going to come out on top as the Void Rays are trying to battle it up? Carriers, Phoenixes are now graviton beaming some of the stalkers to try to minimize the DPS. 4 Void Rays, 2 carriers are left, and who is coming in and who's going to come out on top? Zealots now making their way over, as well as the Phoenixes. Wow, I can't even describe this battle. This is just so strange, as the Phoenixes are now getting taken down. Harvester count 83 to 56. There is one Zealot sitting at the Xel'Naga Tower. It's going to get taken down here in just a moment, as 3 Colossi still moving out across the map. We do have 4 carriers being added. Level 2 weapons upgrade has been completed for the Protoss Air. And as long as there are Zealots on the ground, I believe the Stalkers are going to have a bit of a problem. Here we go, Colossi now making their way up, going to take down this 5th base. But the 4th base is already up and operational for Type Real. Zealots with 1-1 upgrades only. We see a large number of upgrades coming in from Type Real. Meanwhile, level 3 ground weapons upgrade. So the Stalkers and the Colossi going to be full weapons upgrade here in just a moment. Meanwhile, the Carriers trying to get to level 3 weapons upgrade as well. The Carriers are going to have high DPS, but what's going to be happening here? One Stalker trying to do a little bit of a push. Zealots going to engage and destroy and take down this Nexus, as these Zealots are coming in slow reinforcing numbers. Colossi, 6 Colossi going to swipe and take down a whole bunch of just probes. Stalkers are in position, and now the units are on the run. The Carriers, where are they going to go? And this almost looks like a show match, as we have 6 carriers up in the air, 4 more carriers coming in, and a Dark Templar Shrine with a mothership being trained up as well. Alright, where are these Zealots going? The Zealots are going to be splitting up, perhaps trying to hit different locations at the same time. The front door is pretty wide open. The Zealots could run in straight in there and deal a lot of damage, but it looks like they're all going to be going in for that 3rd base. That 3rd base is pretty much wide open, and here comes the Zealots, a whole bunch of them, and now in comes some High Templars merging into Archons. Zealots are going to take down the 1 cannon left, and now here we go. Archon's going to get destroyed in a matter of seconds. We can see that the Stalkers have arrived. Will the Zealots be able to get in enough damage? The Zealots do have charge, but they're not going to be able to run away from these Stalkers. Stalkers with Blink. Stalkers have faster movement speed even without Blink, and these Zealots are now trying to back away once more. In comes a fleet of carriers, though. 11 carriers on the move, and now, wow, those 11 carriers quickly take down 1 pylon there. We are going into Protoss ground or air armor 2, level 3 air weapons upgrade about to be completed. Stalkers are going to be coming in, and the question is, how much energy will the mothership have when it gets when it arrives? Will it be able to recall? And after destroying this Nexus, I believe that will be the case, as Zealots are trying to stop this large number of Stalkers here. Mass carriers taking down this one Nexus in a matter of seconds. Here we go, and now the carriers do need to retreat as the Nexus does fall. No, the Colossi are looking to come back around. You can see that there is one observer here keeping track of the main base, and the carriers now need to get back home. Carriers do move relatively slowly. As you see, its movement speed is the same as a Thor. Needs to get back and hide back up on, or sorry, not as the same movement as a Thor, the same movement as an unupgraded observer. Alright, Colossi making their way over. Stalkers now trying to once again intercept. You can see more gas needs to be picked up by Real now behind, as we see that there is a little bit of a more of an even army count. Mothership now trying to make its way over. Stalkers are getting there as well, and now the carriers have been cloaked. Now what's going to be happening here? The Stalkers are trying to get closer. The carrier or the mothership did get destroyed. Colossi engaging, Stalkers engaging as well. but I don't know if there's actually enough Stalkers here. The carriers may actually be able to catch up, and yes, the carrier is actually coming out on top, and Welmu now down by 50 supply. Alright, Stalkers now trying to blink their way forward, but not a smart move when there is that many carriers on the field. A new mothership being added, Protoss Air Armor level 2 now being added as well, as we're seeing a new base being taken down here. So far, the Colossi have not been able to do much of anything. The carriers, more Stalkers now need to be warped in, as we are now going into Dark Templars. Archons are in position to engage against all of these Zealots. It looks like these Zealots will simply get taken down here in just a moment. Carriers now coming in from the back door, gonna destroy the base, taking down some key tech as well. As Welmu now trying to take a base over here at the 4.5 position. Alright, Cybernetics Core is now down. Warp gates are all going to get destroyed. It looks like the pylons are going to get destroyed first, perhaps supply blocking and then unpowering some of these gateways. But if this does turn into a base race, I do believe that Real will have the advantage. Probes now trying to run all the way back home. You can see another engagement here. Archons, Dark Templars. Are there enough observers? Yes, Welmu does have observers here to handle Real's Dark Templars, as the Archons are doing a great job. Immortals not very effective against those Archons, but the Stalkers need to focus that last Immortal. Is it going to actually focus? No, that Immortal down to 7 hit points and somehow still alive. You can see that there is one carrier now being left over to clean up this base here, as the fleet of carriers moving across the map. Perhaps we'll be able to take down these Colossi. Yes, Colossi getting caught in transit once more, and it looks like Real now, with more than double the supply, gets the GG. Real coming out ahead 3-2 in this best of 5 series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.